This is a video as a response to Alpha and Mega Sin's What If Nintendo Made a Survival Horror Pokemon Game. Now, I broke it down into a few different categories which may be interesting, maybe not. First one, what if the Pokemons could speak English? For example, imagine if you had a Pokemon that was with you that you could talk to and it could talk to you. Or you could have a co-op where a friend was playing the Pokemon and you're playing the human, well, something like that. And for instance, this Pokemon comes up against Pikachu, and there's Pika saying Pika Pika, and the Pokemon says, "Pardon, Pika Pika, English motherfucker, do you speak it? What the fuck is wrong with this retarded Pokemon?" And it looks back at its owner like, "What's wrong with this fucking wanker?" And it might be slightly interesting. Pokemons that could die, you could make it so that the Pokemons literally died. So, for instance, Pikachu. Pikachu does a Thunderbolt attack and literally fries them to death. Or Charizard burns them to a cinder. Or Bulbasaur, no, not Bulbasaur, Squirtle basically squirts so much water in the person's mouth that they could explode. And it's up to the Pokemon to decide whether or not you die. The Pokemons attack their owners. I mean, why would the Pokemons want to work for some bastard that treats them like shit? And they always keep getting injured because the Pokemon trainers are complete and utter twat. So wouldn't it be fun if you threw a Pokemon into the ring and it literally turned around and ripped your face off? Pokemons that could be combined to create a more powerful creature, aka Power Ranger style. Imagine if you could have, I don't know, let's say a fire Pokemon with a electric Pokemon, and it creates a new type of Pokemon which would give you an infinite amount of Pokemons, and it would make it more interesting when you actually fought the bigger Pokemons, or the more powerful ones, because then that way you have to use more strategy than shit, I got 5 Pokemon, right, which one has the most, has the highest level, right, I'll use the best attack and hopefully beat the Pokemon master, and if I don't, oh well, then I'll start again and then level them up a bit more. So I'll just give it a more interesting idea. A real Pokemon RPG with a real story rather than just collect them all, where there are Pokemons who fight in armies. Imagine if you had, say, Pokemon where there were people fighting for a purpose rather than just to collect Pokemon. You can have, say, I don't know, the country of Pikachu, whatever you call it, and you've got maybe 100 or 200 of them marching to battle to fight, and you could have them, say, working with Squirtles, because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So you could have it where they work together because it's a necessity, because the enemy is so great, they have no choice. Evil Pokemons that are as crazy as Kafka from Final Fantasy VI. Imagine having a Pokemon who was highly intelligent, but completely insane, who just decides to scorch the earth because he can. I don't know, I think it would definitely add to something where you got someone doing something evil because he's mad. And finally, Pokemons that had experienced some traumatic events as a child and decided to scorch the earth and everything on it. Now, I think that would make it slightly more interesting because, an example, you can have Pokemons who, the majority who they just attack each other until they faint, as in the game. But then you could have some evil villain walk up to him and say, "Finish him off." But he can't move. "I want to see him burn." So, for instance, with Pikachu, he may be forced to fry the enemy until his skin starts to burn and cinder. Or Charizard, who burns the enemy to such a point that they're just a pile of bones because their flesh has been burnt and charred. Thus the name Charizard. And Squirtle might, say, be forced to fire a water attack into the enemy's mouth to such an extent they literally explode into tiny little pieces. And then you can have the Pokemon at some point turn around and say, "Why are you such an evil bastard?" And then, of course, and I haven't actually rehearsed this, so it'll probably suck. But you could have, say, this Pokemon say something along the lines of, "When I was a child, I watched as these humans used to make my parents suffer. They used to use them in battles and make them beat them up until they were an inch away from their life. I had to bandage up their bloody bodies and watch them as they lay there in extreme pain. And from that day on, I decided I will get power. And when, on that day that I will get power, I will make every Pokemon pay for what they did to my parents. That's why all Pokemon trainers must die." Anyway, you get the general idea. I don't know, it would improve it, and I definitely think the horror angle would, because dark is cool. You know, the thing is, it's easier to relate to someone that's been through shit, because we've all been through shit. Now imagine seeing it from the Pokemon's point of view as well. So an example I was thinking of was this. Imagine if you send out your Pokemon to attack a Squirtle in some dungeon, and you beat him to an inch of his life and he escapes. Then he comes back with 20 other Squirtles and whoops your ass. It would mean that you would have to use a better strategy than the crap they have in the game. So if you don't beat them to an inch of their life and kill them, they go away, they get their friends, and they kill you. So it's a dog-eat-dog world. And I think that might make it more interesting. But anyway, I hope you liked the video. I'm off to watch Prometheus, so have fun.